Our next speaker is Oleksandr Fedorov, staff engineer and at People.ai. Alexander is highly skilled certified senior Java developer who offers a new combination of cross-functional skills, including 10 years international track records of success in technical analysis and design, hands-on contributor with proven knowledge in system design and development using development best practices and principle like solid keys dry, experience with front-end, back-end, and ETL development, active agile SDLC practitioner with over 5 years of experience in team management. Alexander will be talking about enable public API in the days with AWS Athena. Alex, nice to meet you. How are you?
Hey everyone, my name is Alex. Dmitry, thanks for awesome introduction. So, can I start?
Yeah, stage is yours. Go ahead.
Great. So, guys, today I'm going to tell you about our story how to build API that actually contributes into brand and help company sell better services. So, this is completely our story, a lot of learnings, and let's start. And my presentation is built on some assumption. One of them is that your B2B product can't fly absolutely no way without nice API. What does it mean? So just imagine that you roll out your product for a huge corporation where a lot of people going to use. And this is a real challenge for every company on board these people, motivate them use your application. And we know that motivation tend to die over 2 weeks period. So what are you going to do? Also, it's really hard to imagine a lot of people sitting and comparing your application and their dashboards side by side. So, what is a way? API. And it sounds like less frictions your product give to customers, less frictions your product gives to customers, better experience. It's like an iPhone. If you remember, originally it was a necessity to enter passcode to authorize purchase, next fingerprints, and finally face. And I bet that play a huge role. So, what does it mean having good API for your company? Of course, is extra point of sale. So it's good motivation factor when sales reps can say, "Hey, do you know we have a great API you can use for your needs?" You can beat competitors. You can always ask for premium because good API tend to have less integration time. And of course, it's more joy from your product. It's really cool when your customer employees can work in their regular way and get insights from your product. So no education, no frictions. You just open your screen and see insights. Great. And why if you actually decide to roll out API, have to do this right. And what we found that even with good API, understandable and clear, it may take up to 23 weeks. Just imagine, it's already time to renew subscription and still there is no value from API. Why so long? Even if you have nice API, clear documentation, for a lot of companies it takes enormous time because they need to staff team, they need to educate team, they need to run test, do integration verification, and so on. And by our experience, even with good API, it can take up to 23 weeks. So let me tell you about our journey, how where we've been and where we now, and what progress we did during pretty short period of time, and of course, lesson learned. So this is original state. When I joined People AI, we have only one bulk API, and integration used to take about 6 8 months. That is unacceptable, and it was complete pain for our customers. It pain for our customer success because that generates a lot of trouble. So it looks pretty simple. uh, you have some job that got signal that it start aggregating. So first it's credential management. You ask for credentials. Next, send signal to our API saying, hey, please generate data for us. And our customers used to have gigabytes and gigabytes of data. So tens of gigabytes, it's kind of average customer. We start aggregating job that goes to data lake and start aggregation. All the time, customer integration should ask, hey, is our data ready? Not yet, okay, I will wait. And until data is ready. Next, integration should pull all of the data, and again, it might be huge data set. Next, dump into their storage, and finally, users can use this data. And of course, you need to repeat these steps weekly or even daily some customers because of data volume, and it's not always possible to grab all data. So we decided to improve, and we actually found a way have to reduce time, integration time, from 2 months, 6 months, to 5 hours. So this is a typical API project. We have a lot of stuff. So this is a REST API available now for our customers. We have to do a lot of stuff. We actually create application, deploy it, do all configuration, add monitoring, exception tracking, app metrics, track usage. We need to dump logs for analysis. Of course, we need to take care of continuous integration and continuous delivery. We need to really publish Postman collections for our customers. We need mock servers and so on. So this is kind of a huge burden on our team and load. And when you work in startup, you always decide what is a high priority. So we decided to run into this adventure. And one of benefits, we knew our customers, we knew our target persona, and we knew who is that user. So we actually concentrated on two different tracks: releasing public API, REST API that is available, and drastically simplify uh, integration work. Now you don't need to kind of ask, hey, is my data ready or not? You just say, hey, please give me a data page starting from this to that. And we also decided to release connectors for BI tools that drastically simplify BI connection. And literally, our customers could connect in minutes and hours. In hours, get insights. However, that was a dead path because we didn't have enough experience, and finally we figure out that this approach is not going to work, despite originally it was a cool idea to provide BI connectors. Why? Because of BI tools have own specifics, and that specifics that BI tools can technically work in two primary modes. First, they send aggregation queries to backend, to the storage. And aggregation happens on storage database side, and they get actual a very narrow data set that can be easily visualizable. Okay, another mode, through connectors. When BI tool pulls data, raw data from your data store and do aggregation on their side. So that was our mistake. We assumed that both ways are well performed, but that's not true. BI tool really bad works with connectors when data size is huge. So we have to either limit amount of data we can transfer through connector or ask our customers to create a custom integration, and then they have to get back to original cycle, creating integration, staffing team, educating team, and so on. So with this matter, it was really hard to convince our customer to use API for getting insights. And actually, that time we started to think about another option. Is there any possibility to reduce time, reduce load on engineering team, and same time provide excellent API capabilities for our customers? And we found this. So this is our current architecture we can offer to our customers. Literally, we know that primary user right now is sales exec, and they use dashboards in various tools: Tableau, Looker, Power BI. And all of that tools are really good at using standard drivers, JDBC or ODBC. And we start thinking, what can we do about that? And we decided to try Athena, AWS Athena, and open access for our users and allow customers and allow them connecting to our Athena instance. With this approach, of course, we had concerns and still a lot of concerns. But with this approach, what we get? In 3 minutes, our customers can see their data. It's easy to integrate, it's easy to merge, easy to create dashboards and enrich dashboards. So now our sales representative can say, hey, do you know that you can integrate with People.ai in 3 minutes? You don't need to staff a team. You don't need to allocate huge budget. And by the way, we know that average integration cost, even for simple API, cost about $100,000 or more. That's why it's a huge hassle for our customers. And this works just perfectly. So why did we choose AWS Athena? Uh, First, it's well adopted by leading BI tools. So it's super easy. You just download driver, use credentials, and that's it. Mission complete. You can choose data, you can download raw data, you can run aggregations. Super easy. You don't need to run through hassle of creating integrations, credential managements, and so on. Next, perfect scalability. So it's easy to scale. It's dynamically scalable. So literally, you have one customer or 10 customer, you just do nothing about this. All of that is handled on AWS side. And again, we are being charged per volume. So we don't need, like when if we use Redshift or RDS, we don't need to pre-allocate some amount of nodes and burn money even if no load. That was kind of differentiating factor for us. As I said, ODBC or GDBC drivers. And again, this is relatively cheap. We were amazed how much money we can save on this. So if you use right data format, if you use archiving and some isolation techniques setting limits, it very, I can't say cheap, but what I can say that it very economically reasonable. So if you consider Athena, like we did, here is the path. First of all, what we did is created a dedicated AWS account to separate our production environment, production data from customer data. Why do this required? Because this is obviously question of security. We don't want to have any risk of sharing data across customers. Keep customers isolated. Next, we create a dedicated account. Next, we follow approach when we create bucket per customer as isolation measure. That completely avoids case when one customer accidentally by misconfiguration can get data of other customer. So this is a huge no, and we avoid this at all cost. Next, you need to create a work group. Work group actually it's a kind of entity that limits ability of customer to overcharge you. So literally, we allow to send a request and use Athena until certain limits. And this is actually really nice work in two ways. It educates customers and protects us. So customers, and of course our team use Athena also, start thinking in a more optimal way how to write SQL queries. Of course, we need to define limits. We need to create a user. So since we follow pure dedicated approach for every customer gets a user dedicated specifically to this customer. And this is final part. We need to export data in common AR format. So Parquet works perfectly and help us reduce cost drastically, especially when you not only use Parquet but also add archiving. Of course, we have concerns, and one of them is security. So, unfortunately, there is only an option to give access to our Athena instances is by creating user and providing API key and API secret. And this is a long-term secret. So we literally increase time window for potential attack. And this is concerned. We're still looking for a better options. Next, analytics. It's not so easy to track usage patterns. Of course, we can use Athena AWS existing options like CloudWatch. However, if we need something sophisticated, track patterns, track usage, understand what type of calls coming, this is a challenge. And regular API works way better in this. SQL specifics. This is a huge point, and customers, our team needs to know Athena SQL specifics. How to make query very optimal. How to write in a certain way that can fit limits. And that was a huge challenge for customers with enormous amount of data, hundreds of gigabytes. When they run, it may fail. And the hardest part that it's really hard to track when you do your development in kind of staging environment works perfectly because you have a limited data set. But when you try prod, everything fails and you need to dig into this and understand. And it's not always easy because accessing production data is restricted. So you can only understand by implicit factors. Another one is potential risk and momentum cost exposure. If one customer sends huge aggregation five that uses 5, 10 joins in different ways, massive data explosion that may kill Athena instance. And that causes frustration. That's why This one and the previous one, SQL specifics, come together. So you need to spend time, educate your customers on this, or at least create a cheat sheet what to do. So this is must have. And another concern is provisioning. Provisioning is also not that easy because there is no automatic provisioning for all that stuff I mentioned previous slide. So originally we did all that manually per customer request. However, over time we think about adding some custom logic that allows automate everything and do quite quickly. But you need to consider this. Benefits. What benefits we got? First, we can cover out of the box huge amount BI tools, and that massively increases our market potential. We can say, hey, what kind of tools do you use? Tableau. All awesome. Please, we have API you can use immediately. And this is really great works for our customers. Next option, we may provide this approach not only for BI users, but for regular integrations. A lot of customers use Java as a way to write integrations, and it's really, really easy to just use JDBC for this purpose. You don't need to run into REST API mapping JSONs. You can first get your raw data. Second, you can run aggregation and get data in a way you need. This is also an extra selling point. Another moment derived from previous slide is SQL. So finally, customer team, our team, figure out a way how to write very optimal SQL queries that runs blazing fast. And next point, you don't need to support a lot of stuff. Just getting back to multiple slides, this one. With this approach, you don't need all of this. Just imagine that your engineering team don't need to spend cycles maintaining all this stuff. You just don't need it anymore. You don't need monitoring, exception tracking. You don't need deployment. So everything is handled by AWS. And also, we have reduced time for fixes and changes. So all of that might be done on data side. You don't need to think about, hey, if we add this field, we need to also update our API documentation. We don't need to update metrics. We don't need to update our API endpoints. We don't need to release actually new versions. So this is drastically reduce time to market. So, and this is a last slide. I want to highlight fact that B2B product won't fly without easy integratable API. So, guys, please think about providing effortless API that delivers value to your customers, that saves time for your engineering team, especially if you work for startup, you always have a lot of tasks. And this approach can save you time and help concentrate on more priority tasks. So, with good API, you will get better expansion options. You can literally say that your API supports multiple different tools. You can get competitive advantage over your competitors who still pursue old patterns. And of course, that leads to higher revenue. So, thank you so much. This is this is final part. Happy to answer your questions.
Hi, Alex. Great speech. Actually, the first question from audience, and there are a lot of questions from my side. Is Athena equipped to handle streaming data? Such question.
Mm, it's a good question. Do we have this necessity right now? No, and uh, I have no answer. So it's just a Presto engine uh, in AWS that can aggregate huge amount of data and literally dumps somewhere and then stream.
Hmm. So in general, not talking only about Athena API, but probably you also have some code API, right? Some application API, probably REST and etc. For example,
Yes,
between UI interface, presentation layer, and application layer. So do you use some specific API standard like JSON API or any other standards, and how you document them in general?
of course. And as I mentioned, that Athena was kind of third iteration of our API. We already have REST API. We use Open API. We provide Postman
Okay.
collections, and also just to simplify our customers' life, we deploy mock server. So imagine case that customer comes to us and it takes a couple of days to get data. And we
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, until your data is not ready, please go and try our mock server.
Cool, nice. And how you actually, what the tool set you're using for testing? So I'm heard about Postman. Postman actually provide a great, actually, tool set and the capabilities for testing of API, right? But maybe you use something more. So could you please share this experience? How you actually test?
Uh, Good question. Let me think. So Postman is our primary tool. We also have some kind of load testing and integration tests
Mm-hmm.
written just to protect our API. And of course, we partner with different teams. So be business intelligence teams has bunch of dashboards. So every time we release, we ask for help. Hey, can you please verify dashboards looks accurate?
Mm-hmm. Cool, cool. Yeah, makes sense. And I'm just really not understand. So you mentioned about BI platform, right? And also you mentioned about data latency. So it looks like you building near real time dashboard, right? With Athena. It is quite
Yeah.
difficult if you have the data warehouse, for example, for years, right? Are you using some pattern like Lambda or Kappa for implementing this
No,
performance?
and that's the point. So, because we have tens of gigabytes of data, there is no way to transfer raw data, right? That's why Athena works. So, it you just send aggregation query that aggregates across these tens of gigabytes. And for Athena, it's easy job because it intended for terabytes. That's why our customer can get immediate insight in aggregated, very narrow form, easy to visualizable. That's a blessing. Instead of pulling raw data and do all that stuff on BI side.
That's really nice insights. Based on your capacity, amount of data, it's really nice advice for our architecture design. All right. So one more question from audience: are you encrypting data source which Athena use
Of course,
somehow?
this is by default.
Hmm. All right, the short answer. Thank you, Sash. That's all from
Sure,
question side. Yeah, nice to see you here, and thank you for support our community and conference.